Airframe Prepware Aircraft Fuel Systems Part 1. Number 1. Gas turbine engine fuel systems are very susceptible to the formation of ice in the fuel filters. Number 2. A fuel heater operates as a heat exchanger to warm the fuel. Regarding the above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. What should be used to inert an integral fuel tank before attempting repairs? CO2. The type of fuel boost pump that separates air and vapor from the fuel before it enters the line to the carburetor is the centrifugal type pump. What is used in many aircraft to prevent bubbles in the fuel after it leaves the tank when atmospheric pressure is lower than fuel vapor pressure? Boost pumps. Which of the following is employed to maintain lateral stability when jettisoning fuel? Two separate independent systems. Why is the main fuel strainer located at the lowest point in the fuel system? It traps any small amount of water that may be present in the fuel system. When moving the mixture control on a normally operating engine into the idle cutoff position, engine RPM should slightly increase before the engine starts to die. The location of leaks and defects within the internal portions of the fuel system can usually be determined by observing the pressure gauge and operating the selector valves. Fuel boost pumps are operated to provide a positive flow of fuel to the engine. What unit is generally used to actuate the fuel pressure warning system? Pressure-sensitive mechanism. A transmitter in a fuel pressure warning system serves what function? Converts fluid pressure to an electrical signal. A drip gauge may be used to measure the amount of fuel in the tank. The purpose of the baffle plate in a fuel tank is to resist fuel surging within the fuel tank. How is the outlet fuel pressure regulated on a submerged single-speed centrifugal type fuel pump? By the pump's design and internal clearances. What should be used to remove flux from an aluminum tank after welding repairs? A 5% solution of nitric or sulfuric acid. A fuel totalizer is a component which indicates the amount of fuel in all tanks. An electrical type fuel quantity indicating system consists of an indicator in the flight deck and a float in the tank that moves a connecting arm to the wiper on a variable resistor in the tank. Which aircraft fuel quantity indicating system incorporates a signal amplifier? Electronic. What type of fuel booster pump requires a pressure relief valve? Sliding vane. What must each fuel quantity indicator be calibrated to read during level flight when the quantity of fuel remaining is equal to the unusable fuel supply? 0. A fuel system must be designed to prevent fuel vapor ignition caused by lightning. Which of the following may be used for the repair of fuel leaks on most integral fuel tanks? Riveting and resealing. The probe of a capacitance-type fuel level gauge is essentially a capacitor with fuel and air acting as a dielectric. Which of the following precautions is most important during refueling operations? Fuel to be used must be appropriately identified. Which of the following would give the first positive indication that a changeover from one fuel tank to another is needed? Fuel pressure warning. The electronic type fuel quantity indicating system consists of a bridge circuit, an amplifier, an indicator, and a tank unit. What method would be used to check for internal leakage of a fuel valve without removing the valve from the aircraft? Place the valve in the off position, drain the strainer bowl, and with boost pump on, watch to see if fuel flows to the strainer bowl. How may the anti-knock characteristics of a fuel be improved? By adding a knock inhibitor. As a general rule, which statement is true regarding fuel leaks? Stains, seeps, and heavy seeps, in addition to running leaks, are considered flight hazards when located in unvented areas of the aircraft. What type of remote reading fuel quantity indicating system has several probes installed in each fuel tank? Electronic. What markings must be placed on or near each appropriately fuel filler cover on standard category aircraft? The word avgas and the minimum fuel grade. One advantage of electrical and electronic fuel quantity indicating systems is that the indicator can be located any distance from the tanks. A typical large transport aircraft fuel manifold system allows how many of the following? Number 1, all tanks can be serviced through a single connection. Number 2, any engine can be fed from any tank. Number 3, all engines can be fed from all tanks simultaneously. And number 4, a damaged tank can be isolated from the rest of the fuel system. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is the purpose of a float-operated transmitter installed at a fuel tank? It sends an electric signal to the fuel quantity indicator. When inspecting a removable rigid fuel tank for leaks, what procedure should be followed? Pressurize the tank with air and brush with soapy water. Why are jet fuels more susceptible to water contamination than aviation gasoline? Jet fuel has a higher viscosity than gasoline. The purpose of a diaphragm in a vane-type fuel pump is to compensate fuel pressures to altitude changes. On a large aircraft pressure refueling system, a pressure refueling receptacle and control panel will permit one person to fuel or defuel any of the tanks on the aircraft. Where is fuel pressure taken for the pressure warning signal on most aircraft engines? Fuel pressure line of the carburetor. A digital fuel totalizer automatically indicates the amount of fuel used, fuel remaining, current rate of consumption, and fuel weight aboard at takeoff. What is one purpose of a fuel tank vent? To maintain atmospheric pressure. What is the purpose of flapper-type check valves in integral fuel tanks? To prevent fuel from flowing away from the boost pumps. How many engine-driven fuel pumps per engine are required for engines requiring fuel pumps? One fuel pump for each engine. Why is it necessary to vent all aircraft fuel tanks? To limit pressure differential between the tank and atmosphere. A fuel pressure warning switch contacts close and warning light is turned on when the fuel pressure drops below specified limits. What is the recommended practice for cleaning a fuel tank before welding? Steam clean the tank interior. Fuel baffles are installed in tanks to prevent blank caused by changes in the attitude of the aircraft. Surging. Which gas is used for purging an aircraft fuel tank? Carbon dioxide. The primary purpose of a fuel tank sump is to provide a place for contaminants and water to settle with a drain valve to remove the impurities. Which procedure must be followed when defueling aircraft with swept-back wings? Defuel the outboard wing tanks first. Some turbine-powered aircraft have a fuel temperature indicator located in the flight deck to monitor the fuel temperature during high-altitude flight. In some aircraft with several fuel tanks, the possible danger of allowing the fuel supply in one tank to become exhausted before the selector valve is switched to another tank is prevented by the installation of a fuel pressure warning signal system. Fuel is moved overboard in most fuel jettison systems by boost pumps. When fuel quantity is measured in pounds instead of gallons, the measurement will be more accurate because fuel volume varies with temperature change. What is the minimum distance allowed between a fuel tank and the firewall separating the engine? 1/2 inch. When defueling an aircraft, which of the following must be accomplished? Always defuel outside the hangar. What precautions must be observed if a gravity-feed fuel system is permitted to supply fuel to an engine from more than one tank at a time? The tank air spaces must be interconnected.